What's up, world? It's your boy DJ47. Thanks for tuning in to our YouTube page. If you like what you see, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to us as we hit you with new videos every week. One.
You're now listening to the sounds of KDPG Radio. Keep the party going.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's your boy DJ47. It's another episode of that One Shot Deal podcast. Today we got a special guest in the building. I've been looking forward to interviewing her since I was DJing at the Women Run Wynwood. She goes by the name of Brittany Berger. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Brittany Berger.
Love it.
Forgot to mention, man, she's an author. She wrote a book called The 25 and Self-ish. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and everything else that she got coming up. She mentioned she has a new book she's writing, so we're going to get into everything. We want to know about her lifestyle. We want to know about her life. We want to know what she's all about. You know, we're going to deep in, we're going to be her diary today.
I love it. Love a good diary experience.
So first of all, I like to ask all my guests when they come on, you know, this is a crazy time, 2020, the whole coronavirus, the pandemic and everything. How are you managing with everything?
Oh, managing, what a great word. So I know this is a really challenging time for everyone. And I do want to say there's two sides of it. One is I can think about it personally, selfishly, right? About my own experience, which I kind of took it as a mental pause because I do have my hands in so many different businesses as a female entrepreneur, and I don't just do one thing, and the book is one of them, but a lot of things that I do are events, in-person events, whether they're wellness retreats, conscious community, music festivals, meetings and conferences for corporate organizations. I do a lot of different things as well, including my own women empowerment panels and events. So since events and people coming together has been on pause kind of indefinitely to be safe, right? Yes. My work period also took a pause. And so during that time, of course, worrying comes in of, working for myself, every dollar that comes in is up to me. And so once that kind of stops, you still got your bills, you need to take care of your health. Now you're grounded in your space for a quarantine. How are we going to respond and react to all of this in the world? And for me personally, at the beginning, it was a little stressful. There was a little bit of worrying, and I had to remind myself, everything that you put out there, you also attract. So if I'm going to put out there being worried and stressed and unsure and the chaos in this community of this crisis, that's going to come back to me emotionally and mentally and mess with my vibe. And we don't want that, right? No, so I had to mindfully, when we talk about diary or journaling, even write down things of saying to myself, girl, you're going to be okay. You even haven't taken a break or a vacation in 2 years. And I was planning on it finally this summer. And I realized what I needed the most was to just do nothing and to be still. And it was like a forced break and a forced pause for myself to even restructure and re-strategize and really look at what's important, because we live our days so often by rushing, and we don't even appreciate the small wins or the big wins in our life. And it's because we're going so fast so often, we're letting the world and society drive us, especially with this pandemic, of saying, you don't have a choice here. And if you're healthy, you need to stay home, or you can't see your friends or people. And if you live alone like me, I'm a hugger, and I love people. And so to not have even that physical interaction is hard for me. And so through this time, I really saw it, thankfully, as a blessing for two reasons. One is because thankfully I did not get sick, and I don't know anyone even in my family who was unhealthy from this pandemic. But second, it really made me appreciate life so much more. And I really took advantage of this time to rest and to continue to write my second book, because the first one was a nonfiction memoir, meaning it was about real experiences in my life. And the second one, I never had time to write it. So I could finally sit down and write a little bit more and go at that pace, knowing that that story still isn't finished, which is why the novel's not done. Yeah. But it did give me that time to binge watch television or just sit on a couch all day long for a Sunday fun day that's made for an introvert, even though I'm an extrovert, but I love my alone time. And I really saw it as a blessing. And I hate that, you know, so many people are sick and have died and, you know, have had really terrible side effects to this pandemic. But I really do believe that it kind of lifted the veil from the eyes of the world and humankind to see that pollution was becoming so much better because less planes were flying, less cars were being driven, less boats were in the water, less pollution were in our waters, you know? Of course, the Black Lives Matter movement finally is something that is discussed and really brought to the attention that stopped the world to do something about it. And since then, we're on the road for justice. And so this was kind of step one to the avalanche of everything that needed to come about of 2020, meaning clearing C vision of what we need to see clearly, and everything that needed to come out. I felt like this was a purge for the world, emotionally and mentally for everyone. And hopefully we will find neutral ground, justice, and a form of neutral equality, love, kindness of humankind for the rest of the world, seeing how the rest of this year plays out.
I mean, I think you said it. Now I see why you're a writer. You said it. I was trying to sit there like, yeah, but do you understand? I'm like, well, no, she said it. She said it all, and I definitely agree with you. It's a gift and a curse. You know, obviously the curse is
Totally.
the negative of people getting sick and dying and all, but it's also, like you said, you know, the positive. You got that chance to breathe, because we in a rat race, you know, and that chance to just take that breather and collect your thoughts and be more, like for me, allow me to be more creative, because when you're on the move, you're on the move.
For
And I like
sure.
that. So I definitely agree with you. We're gonna talk a little something about, because you were saying vacation and all. You know, I was reading your book, and you actually did go on a vacation.
That's right.
In this book, so we'll get more into that in due time. But first, let's get a little known about you. Where are you from?
I'm from Miami.
Oh, born and raised in
Born and
Miami?
raised, born and raised, 3 generations, shockingly fully American. I have no Latin background, but I do got the salsa Latin roots, honey, so I can fool you. But this has been my home, and I'm still here, and I love it, and it's a beautiful place to be.
And am I mistaken or not? You're Jewish, correct?
I'm Jewish as well, yes.
Yeah, yes. I was reading. You went to a Jewish Hebrew day school.
I did, yes.
Yeah, yeah. But you don't know the language. If I'm reading the book correctly, you know, you spent 8 years, I believe, and still don't know the language.
It's funny. I knew it really well. I could read and write. I would say I was partially fluent in Hebrew. Ani medaber Hebrit, if I want to get my little accent in.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I learned Spanish, and I realized my brain was so confused, juggling English, Spanish, you know, at a teenage age. Maybe I don't even know why I couldn't grasp it fully. And then I went to Israel, and I was practicing my Hebrew, lost all my Spanish, which I can understand mostly, but getting back into speaking it, I definitely need more training.
I got you back. It's the Miami Heat. You know, the Heat, you know, fries people's brain and we forget things. I got you back, you know.
Exactly. Appreciate that.
So, growing up in Miami, you know, you got the Latin background. You know, you got the Jewish background. You know, how was your upbringing? You know, growing up. Do you have any siblings? You know,
I do. I have an older brother. My parents are from Miami. My dad literally has been working since he was 6, 7 years old, and he works 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I believe that's where I get my hustle and my career motivation from, for sure. And I used to even work for him. He'd pay me $10 an hour to work in his offices when I was younger, and I'd save that money to buy what I want. But I do have to say, my parents worked really hard to give my brother and I a good education, and I feel so blessed and thankful for the life that they did bless us with. And I do believe that definitely helped me want to kind of mirror my dad's strength and motivation in a career, to know that maybe I was given the tools and I did something with it and I wanted to run with it. But most of all, I wanted to leave a footprint and change on the world, because everything that I do, I try to do mindfully. Even when I was younger, maybe I wasn't consciously aware that I was doing it, but I've always been a lover as a person, and I've always believed everybody is the same and deserves the same treatment no matter what position in the world, no matter what their job is. A good human is a good human as long as you treat them as so. And even if some people present you in a frustrated, angry way, I see that emotion as displaced anger or displaced frustration, meaning it may not be me. They may be having a bad day. They may be working 3 jobs at a time. We don't know what their home life is. And you can't live in this world with hate or frustration. It just has to be accepted and open, hopefully. And so I kind of lived with that mindset carrying on. I went to a Hebrew day school growing up, and then I went to Michael Kropp Senior High School in North Miami Beach. And I went to college and University of Central Florida, got a scholarship, applied for a bunch there. So that worked out really well. And growing up, I was a competitive dancer my whole life. So I danced in Miami at the Heat games, in Liberty City, Martin Luther King parades. And yeah, I definitely got a feel of what Miami is at a young age from every community, which is really important to me, especially with my background. And that whole dance period really taught me, you know, teamwork, groups, friendships, everybody from every type of religion, ethnicity, color, everything. And just people in general, to never take anything for granted. And I believe that it definitely strengthened me to jump into anything, work your hardest, and try to be the best in that experience, and bringing that with me through the rest of my life. And so I'm still here. I should be tanner, but I don't spend enough time outside.
I say the same thing too. Brittany's like, I'm a hustler, baby. I just
That's right.
want
I
you to
just want you to
know.
know. I
I
love
think
it.
Jay-Z wrote that song about you. That I mean, that you on your grind.
Maybe.
I thought I was going hard, but then you turn around, you see someone going harder. So I'm just trying to catch up to you.
But you know what? It's so funny because, and I'll even ask you this question as well. I liked, it was just my birthday a couple of weeks ago,
Well,
and
happy
I
birthday.
always like to, thank you. I always like to reflect on the past year. And I like to ask myself, where are you going? What did you learn? Who are you? What do you want to be? And what is success to you at this age, or this past year? What did it mean? And as you'll read in the book, I always thought that success was built on building an empire or empires, making a lot of money. That was success. And I've realized that this year, success does not equal how much money you have in your account, how much money you made, how much money is saved up. That's something that society delivers to us and kind of makes us think. I realize now success is if you're trying to do something and you can carry it through the process until the end, start to finish. And even if there's challenging opportunities or struggles within that journey until you get to that destination, how you feel from it, what you've accomplished, what you were able to deliver is the actual tangible success. It's not the money in the end, because you can do so many things. And as long as it can also, if that's your goal, is to help so many people along the process and be of service to others, not only yourself, I think that is now the true definition of success compared to a dollar amount, which of course is nice to live on this earth. But what do you think success is to you?
I mean, I definitely agree with you. One thing I like to do is I like to read a lot, and I even read the book, the Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, and what basically he said even about money. Money is the reward for what you're doing. I think that success is everything that you just said. I think success can also be riches and all. I think success is whatever goals you set for yourself and you go out there and get it.
For sure.
You set yourself small goals that lead to the big goals and all. And as long as you're getting up every day and busting your ass to do it, I believe you're becoming successful. And then once you meet your goals, set new goals for yourself and all. Like my thing is, I'm a very ambitious guy. If you come over here, you ask me where's this location at. I took my home and built a whole lab. Every room has another structure. One room has a radio station, the other one has a recording studio. Right now,
Amazing.
we're in the green room, and right next to the green room is the photo booth and all. And I built this empire for people to come and learn and grow and build and like that. So my thing is, if you're on your grind and all like that, and you really want to become something, this is open to you. I'm not charging anything. It's just if you want to be successful, here's a place to come be successful and all. So I
That's
believe,
beautiful. Congrats. I love that.
I appreciate that. So again, I agree with what you're saying and all like that. Success is what you make it and all. Yeah, don't let society dictate what is successful or not. I was listening to a podcast from Mike Tyson. He was interviewing LL Cool J, and they were going back and forth of what happiness is. And then Mike Tyson was like, happiness is, getting nice cars and this and that. And then, people who doesn't have the riches are not happy. And then LL had to correct them, like, how do you know they're not happy? Not everybody wants this glamorous life and all like that. If they live in Ohio and they're peaceful and all like that, let them have their peace, and there's nothing wrong with that and all. So, again, success is what you make it.
What's happiness to you?
What's happiness to me? I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't think I know the answer to that. I don't think I want to know the answer to that. I think I want to keep going, and I want to find that. I think once you find all the answers, what is there left to do? I mean, I'm happy doing what I love. I'm happy. If I could say what I'm happy about right now is the fact that at my age I'm still able to do what I love to do, and
Yeah.
I wasn't able to. I mean, I wasn't. There's certain people who couldn't find their ways or want to find their ways, but felt like they had to do a 9 to 5 because they don't have the guts to take the risk, to live their dreams and all. So happiness to me, if anything, is music.
Love that.
Happiness is to me to watch my friends, succeed in their life, still, marriage, kids, whatever you want in life. For me, happiness is music and being around good people and all.
Community.
Community is a good thing.
Community culture.
Yeah. That's happiness for you?
Happiness for me is inner peace and mental freedom because
Mental freedom. See, you're right. You're absolutely right. I like a little chaos. The other one, I don't know. I like a little chaos because I think it builds, pressure busts pipes. But the other one, the inner peace, is a very good one.
yeah, because for me, I feel that my life is very chaotic. I try to be in control of pretty much everything because, working for yourself, you have to. You got to be your own boss. The only person who's going to push you is you. And I realize in those moments, you could have everything. You could save enough money. You could buy everything that you want. But in reality, just like you said, the people who have the riches, are they actually happy? Who do they spend time with? Who loves them for who they are? Do they even know or get happiness from guidance or being of service to others? And so when I ask myself these questions, always, because I love these questions, even when I ask myself,
Yeah,
and
you put me on the
for
spot.
me,
I was supposed to interview you. You're interviewing me. You put me on the spot.
I told
Pressure,
you.
pressure, 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 pressure. But I love it. I love it.
Yeah, because can I tell you why I think it's so important for people? And congratulations on this podcast and this platform, because I truly believe the biggest benefit and principle of a platform like this is sharing your story, because you never know what one thing you're going to say or what story or quote or point you have to make is going to resonate with someone who really, really needs to hear it that day. And that
Well, I
it
tell you,
maybe will change their life or start them on whatever their journey is. And so for me, life is chaotic every single day. It's how we choose to wake up, what we choose to, again, respond and react to, and how we want to move forward. So for me, I'm like, all right, if life is chaotic, if mentally I can feel free of my thoughts and of my thought process, but also I can feel inner peace, not stress, rushing, turmoil, all the things that I used to feel, that's happiness to me, because it's a calm state of mind where you can still be a shark in shallow waters,
yeah.
and you have control in a way that you can breathe easy. Because wouldn't it be great if every day we can have the best day if we try to, and it starts mentally with us? So I'll literally look in the mirror and I'm like, you have the best day today, even
Yeah.
if you wake up feeling off, just bringing that good energy to you.
I definitely agree. One thing I can tell you about this podcast, like every day something new happens. Like I started it because of the pandemic. I dropped an album back in March, and it's a producer.
Congrats, awesome.
Thank you. It's a producer album where I made the beats and I had different artists perform. So the whole goal with the podcast was to interview these artists to help. Like my creativity is like, how can I promote these artists during these times where they can't go perform? Okay, let's interview and let's get to know them. So that's how it all started. And now to this day, when the other day you crossed my mind, something about you crossed my mind, and I'm like, wait a minute, this girl wrote a book, the 25, and I don't know, I'm trying to remember, how did you cross my mind? And then that's when I went looking for you on IG. I hit up Giselle to find it out, and then it was just I wanted to start interviewing other people, because and then when I realized when I started doing that, I'm starting to learn more.
Yeah.
Now I just last weekend I interviewed a girl who does hypnosis, and she
Amazing.
taught me her world. And I said, okay, wait, okay, I found you, boom. I'm gonna get your book. I'm gonna read your book. I love reading, so now I just had another book to read, and I'm here reading, and I'm getting to know more about you. And I think the main, okay, now I remember the reason why, because I remember the book was titled 25 and Self-ish. Catchy title, because that's what got me, oh yeah, wait a minute, she's 25 and she wrote a book. I'm always saying that I want to write a book, but I can't even sit down for 2 seconds just to start writing and all like that. So that's what leads into my next question is, what made you want to write a book?
So I love that you're asking this because I was, as you'll read about, working a 9 to 5. And through that journey that I have of love and relationships, feeling like I kind of met the one, and don't want to spoil it, but the one is not here now, and working for a company where everybody
Well,
was
I've
20
been
years
reading the
older than
book.
me.
I'm
And I was,
almost done, but I'm reading the
you
book,
know,
and there's a lot of story. It started off as a romantic. I'm like, is this a
it's
romantic?
very romantic,
Yeah.
darling.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, I'm reading the book. Don't get it
All right, you're
twisted.
reading it. I won't give it away. I won't give it away. But
No,
I had, so it was the year before I was turning 25.
yeah.
And they say, by society that people have a midlife crisis or a quarter life crisis. Now, when they talk about a midlife crisis and they're 50 something years old, I can understand that in terms of you're halfway through your life. You may wake up one day and say, what the F am I doing? I'm not happy. Maybe I'm not happy in the family that I'm in with my partner, or, I came through all this BS, or I'm working all the time and I have this money saved up, or I've always wanted to be a musician and I didn't do it because why? And now halfway through their life, just because of their age alone, they have this epiphany of, oh my God, I need to do something about my life. So now 20 somethings are saying at 25, they're going through this crisis. And I'm like, no, kids, you are not going through a crisis. You're waking up and you're looking at yourself, labeling yourself as a 25-year-old or 20 something with your age, when in reality, you should be looking at age as experience on earth in this body as yourself. What made you strong? What can you identify as weak? One question, are you happy? And if the answer is no, you need to make a change. And so I realized on paper, everything in my life looked pretty great, and I was in control of everything. However, I woke up every day unhappy and I wasn't myself. And I would like to say that I'm usually a very positive person because that's the outlook I have on my life. And I was the complete opposite. And it was all started with my job. And so going through that year, I realized so many things and so many lessons. And I felt that I took so many personal risks that when I was looking at where are the 20 somethings who are claiming they're going through this crisis and no one is giving a solution,
Yeah.
or it was like more things online or books that I was trying to find were making it seem like this crisis exists, but nobody was really diving in deep into it. That was also generalized for both male and females. And so what everybody has in the column of their life is, partnership with love, whatever their job is, and even being happy in the city or their friend group that they're in or their family. And so through that year, it shook up my world that when I would tell people this story that of course took a century to tell because it was very long, I thought, why not put it in a book? Because if this was there to help me, if it helps at least one person, I would love to do it. So of course, everybody thinks writing a book isn't easy. That may be true. I disagree. I thought, let me try to write this. I spent a day, I wrote an outline, I started typing away, and I realized, wow, I have something here. And I didn't Google how to write a book. I kind of just wanted to stay so authentic and true to me,
Well,
putting it in 4 different sections with minimal chapters in one sequence of a year, and showing people that as a 20 something, I'm not a CEO. I'm not a CEO. I'm not a millionaire. Like, I don't have shit figured out, but I'm still okay.
But
The journey that I went through is
isn't that the
okay.
best thing, not to have everything figured out?
Yeah, I wanted to let people know that yes, I'm a relatable 20 something, but it's okay. to not have shit figured out. It is okay to leave that job and find something else that you love, that's a passion. And if you need to pick up 2 side hustles while making music because that's what you want to do in this world and that's how you're going to pay the bills, it's going to be freaking worth it. Because I'll tell you why. When it comes to people writing a book, I like to say there were 2 things that were hindering me from it. Once was like, what makes me special or different from any other author? And that's a limiting belief. You don't need to be special. You don't need to be different. You just need to be you. There's a million books out there. There's a million authors out there. Put out your story. You have the tools because you can. And a lot of my friends haven't written a book before because Oprah has a quote in one of her books, The Wisdom of Sundays, which is amazing. I should pull it out. But it basically says that this vision came to you. It didn't come to your friend. It didn't come to your sister. It was directed towards you and you carried it out and you made it happen and finished the project. So because that vision came to me, it was meant for me. It was a part of my purpose. It was meant to be put out there. But for one of my best friend, Jilly, that you hear about on page 1, she didn't have that vision. So that wasn't her destination. And we were on the same trip. So it just shows you whatever your purpose is in life, whatever you're supposed to do, you want to make that album, you want to write that book, you want to start that clothing line, you want to start that podcast, whatever it is, it's because that dream, that is a seed planted into your head, uniquely made for you, not your friend, not your sister. But if somebody else wants to write a book, never be intimidated, do it. Put words on a page, doesn't need to be fully grammatically incorrect. Your pronunciation doesn't need to be fully correct. You can be creative now. People obviously have brands and are very successful professionally through social media. I know social media and Instagram is even too much for me. Like I feel that that's harder for me than writing a book. You know what I mean? So it depends on the person. And we can't look at something thinking that's too hard. We just got to say, just do it. You know, just like Nike. That's one of the chapters in my book, being like, you know what? If you're never going to do it now, at least you tried, because it is always going to be so much more as a success instead of dreaming about it and thinking about it years later and not making it happen.
Well, it's just like working out. The hardest thing to do is start. Once you start working out, then it becomes a relief. Like after you work out, you're like, damn, I feel great. But it's always that start just to get to the gym and all like that. And there's things that I like to tell people all the time that, your dreams don't have a time limit. There's no time frame that you have to do this success.
Exactly.
The Colonel, KFC, didn't bust until 65 years old, and I like to always tell people that
Love that.
You have to have ambition, and I believe that our generation, I don't know if we're the same generation or not, but I know that we broke down those walls to say, yes, we can. There's not a time limit. I think my parents' generation said, you have to graduate school by 18, married by 19, have a kid by 21, and married and such and this and that. And it's nothing wrong with that, but there's other ways of going about it. You don't have to go to college to be a success. No one's telling you not to go, but there are different avenues. There's not just one way of success in life and you have to find your own journey, I mean, what's his name? Steve Jobs proved everyone wrong. He went to college and he dropped out of college. And I mean, I don't know what phone you're using, but I'm using an Apple. I mean, I'm on an Apple laptop and everything.
That's right.
Is all based on him. If someone wanted to write a book, for instance, your first book, how long did it take you to write that book?
So it took me about 5 months. I wrote every day. I was also working 2 side jobs at the time, obviously, because gotta still pay those bills. And I don't want to say that it's challenging, but for anybody who does want to write a book, because of course it's different and we feel, who are we to write one? Well, you have a story and you should write it because people are going to read it and it's going to resonate with someone, and that's all that matters. And what I always say is, whether it's nonfiction or it's fiction, stay true to yourself and the story, and that just get the words on the page. Don't think about how it sounds. Don't think about how long it has to be or how short or how many chapters you need in a book. I wrote this based on each section, just like I keep it in the book where there's 4 sections. And then I split up the chapters where I saw fit, and I had full creative control over it. And I think that the hardest part for some people is starting it, like the first chapter, the first couple pages, because you feel, will this capture the audience's attention? Is this the right content to start with? In reality, just write, because the beginning of the book is where I had to rewrite it the most because I got better as the days would go. And there's going to be some days where I only wrote for 4 hours or 12 hours or 10, and it all depends on your energy that day. When is the best time for you to write? For me, I could only write my book after 2 p.m., which I know sounds insane, but it was when my brain was activated the most, and I would write sometimes until 2 in the morning. And there's no rules, just write.
Exactly.
That's what I suggest.
I can't write. I mean, I could, but my best writing when I'm writing lyrics is at night. It's after midnight. Yeah. This is the part of the segment when I always ask my guests, can you tell us a story? We always ask for a story, any type of story, good, bad, yada, yada, this and that. But since you're someone who wrote a book, let's talk about your book stories, right? Let's talk about summer 2015. Let's talk about you and your best friend taking this trip. Is it to it was what was it again? Israel?
To Israel.
Yeah. Let's talk about you meeting the soldiers, and you're torn between the pilot and the GQ. She says food before anything else. I agree with her on that, but let's talk.
Given I was younger then.
So let's talk about that. Let's welcome them to your world and all. Let's talk about that experience of taking that trip and meeting.
Sure.
And what was the outcome of who won your heart? The GQ or the pilot? Did you fly? Did you get high and fly?
It was Mr. GQ, the commander in the Navy. Yeah, it's funny because I believe that, without giving much away, I think that love is the reason why that we are on this earth. But for me, habitually, I always put work first and I always put love second. I thought that, again, I'm a Leo, by the way, so August, going back to the control or Lion King of the Jungle or Queen of the Jungle in that case.
What day is your birthday? August what?
16th?
Oh, my brother's the 13th.
Oh, he must be an amazing man for sure. And so I believe that when I met him, he was definitely one of my soulmates. And I'll explain what I believe about soulmates as well, because this person to me felt like I've known them before, or my soul felt comfortable, like that we've met in a past life is kind of what it felt like. But I believe with soulmates that we have many in a lifetime. And of course they can be a sibling, a best friend, but in this case, a lover. And it doesn't mean that you're meant to be with them for the rest of your life. I believe that they're brought into your life to spark a transformation within you. And so during that time is when I realized, I was unhappy in my job. I was actually unhappy living in Miami, doing the same thing, going to the same places. And I was living to work. And, Israel for me is a really holy place. And there's a lot of spirit in each city. And I think with every religion and culture, there's a place there that, from the Bible that is just, that you feel very connected to, and whatever belief in God or not, or religion or not, it's like a feeling within your body energetically where you feel like home, but you feel like passionate about doing something or anything to like guide you home. Like that's what I feel like Israel is for me as a place. And so when I met him, I also thought he was like the most gorgeous man I've ever seen, and I was intimidated by it. But it also goes back to having self-worth. And I feel that now in my life, even this past year, I'll be honest, I've had some loves in the past couple of years that have come into my life of more soulmates that I believe that I've met, including Mr. GQ in my book. And they've all taught me so many different lessons, but that I know also their presence in my life didn't mean that I'm supposed to be with them or marry them or be with them forever. And I do believe that if you can find love and forgiveness, if it's needed in a relationship, that you can still be friends with your past lovers if, they were still respectful to you. But he did show me that there's more to life than just working, and that I was looking ahead and forward at everything that I was doing, that I was never here. I was never present. I was never in the moment. I was also constantly on my phone. I was also looking at my next professional move until he kind of brought stillness to my life and clarity, to be honest. And him and I still remain friends. I think he's an unbelievable soul. I believe that we had very different lives, and living in different countries with a 7-hour time difference, especially when I traveled for so much for work, was definitely difficult. But he opened my heart, and he was the first man in my life that made me believe that I wasn't afraid to be married and that I don't have to settle, because I felt like I settled so many times before. And I don't even mean settling with another man because of who a man was or what he does for a living or what his background is. It's none of that. It's how they make you feel. Or that, some women, and maybe men as well, but I know through a lot of the events and women that I speak to, that women who are confident sometimes feel that they need to make themselves feel small in order to make the other man or partner in the relationship more comfortable to be themselves, or have more direction in whatever the relationship or situationship, I like to call it, is. And I never felt that I needed to make myself anything with Mr. GQ. But even with men after, I've had some great men in my life who reminded me who I was when I lost sight of my own self-worth, or being a boss bitch, if you want to call it, to where I dated many boys and then I dated a few men. And I know the difference now. And I know now that I do need a man who's found, who has his own, who can add value to my life. Because when I am in a relationship, I put my man as the priority, and I know that I add value to his life because that's my intention in the relationship, and to be a good partner and someone they can, of course, rely on. But when we don't have that in our other partner, it's like, what are we chasing? What are we looking for? We don't see that as settling because we look at them or the connection as something important. But when you're blinded sometimes by how the way that you may be treated, or how we treat them, or what's valuable in the relationship or not, you realize, wow, that's not everything that I want and I deserve. And it goes back to our self-worth as a male or a female. And deciding, even when it's freaking hard as hell, deciding you have to get out, you have to end it, you have to move on, or wow, will I ever have this type of love or chemistry again? But it's not even that. It's thinking, I'm grateful to have had that and to have felt that and to be able to move on from it and find it again, or be redirected or rerouted. Because I always say, and I think you're going to love this, when we talk about timing of things in life, Colonel Sanders, 65, one of my close friends, didn't become super successful until she was 41. And so I really believe that age should never predicate performance. It's up to us and our experience inside, because guess what? It's divine timing. It's not our time. It's God's time. And I believe that every time, because you can think you're ready for something, or you want something to happen at that right time, like you said, with marriage or whatever, or job or success or a dollar amount in your account. It's not up to us. We have control, but really it's the universe's time. It's going to happen when it's supposed to. You're going to meet that person when you're supposed to. And the last thing is, I always think about sometimes, in dating, especially in quarantine, which is crazy, that I've had two really special men in my life, Mr. GQ being one of them, where I didn't plan to meet anyone on this trip, and he happened to be on my bus on my trip. And I had another great love and soulmate who sat next to me at a restaurant, and I wasn't even supposed to be there that day. And I didn't even, obviously know who he was. So having those people in my life that have really accelerated my personal growth and development through a relationship, God or whoever brought them to me. I didn't find them. They were sent to me. And so we have to believe that that plays a factor in everything that we do, even if it's professional or purposeful. How's that story?
That's great. I want to tell you this, that I don't know if you can see, I got a tattoo right here that says one on it.
Tell me.
And I end up making it my record label, One Records and all. But the reason behind that is, like when you speak about soulmates, I always believe that, you take half of you and half of her, whatever the situation is in your life, and you put it together and you guys equal one. I try to explain. Tell me if you feel me on this or not. I always believe that when you go into a relationship, you shouldn't go in there looking to be loved. You should already love yourself. You should be going into a relationship to give love. And if that person that you're with has the same mentality as you, as they love themselves and they just want to give love, then just love all around, because you love yourself. You're not losing yourself with this person. Same thing with them, but they're giving you their love. So you will never question if they love you or not, because you already love yourself, and your job is to love them, and then vice versa.
Exactly.
You know, so the love just goes in a circle, basically. And,
I agree.
And I always tell people that, you know. And speaking of love, you know, the books express how much you love food. So what type of food do you love?
Oh my God, I love everything, to be honest. Everything.
Everything.
Mediterranean, Israeli, Spanish, Peruvian, Indian. I like everything but blue cheese, which you'll find out, which I'm getting used to, but I still don't like it. But yeah.
I don't like cottage cheese. Like, oh, I'm in training.
See, there you go.
And they tell me you got to eat cottage cheese. And I'm like, oh, dread that, you know.
You're like, nah, that's not for me.
And I love me some cheese, but cottage cheese, no.
That's right. Especially there. Even in Israel, the food is so good and it's fresh, and
that's
oh
my
God,
bucket list. That's my bucket list to go over there. That's one of my goals I gotta do.
Have to.
But let's see if you would. Let's say you were trapped in a deserted island. There was only one food they can cook for you every day. Which one would you can't go without? That's probably the hardest question on here for you, is it?
Yes. I would say, deserted island. But if I can import fresh food somehow, I feel like I would go with an Israeli or Mediterranean vibe, because like the cheeses and the breads and the falafel and the dips and like the sauces and the rice and like tzatziki sauce, tahina, hummus, like all of it. I'm in. Hopefully dessert is added, like the chocolate rogalach and croissants and stuff. You know?
Yeah, I should have maybe said you had a 5-course meal. Boom, name them all.
Oh, that would be fun.
So Brittany, let me ask you, fears. What fears do you have in your life?
I love this question.
And matter of fact, before you continue, I'm gonna thank you, because I'm adding this to every interview I add, and I got it from you, from reading the book.
Thank you.
Because you started breaking down fear 1, fear 2, and when you were doing the kayak. And I mean, that's a good question to ask people.
I think it's a great question.
Yeah.
Also, because so many people you will find out share the same fears or different. And it's funny because I try to meditate every morning. I was really good at it in the past, and I need to be better at it for sure. That's something that I need to promise myself. And so
the interview the last interview I did, it teaches you all that.
Yeah, I love that. I need to make more time for it in the morning for sure. It's definitely one of my goals. And so when it comes to fear, I also like to, when I meditate, release negativity, fear, doubt, and judgment of self and judgment of others. And when it does come to fear, I feel like I feared a lot in the past of, I had fears of maybe never being successful, fears of maybe like never finding love or never being where I was supposed to be. And through living life, I kind of want to say, I don't believe that I have any fears right now, which may seem impossible, but it's only because I do so much self-work. I really work through it. And I just try to dig deeper into my core of knowing who I am and staying true to myself. And again, just being so open and kind and authentic, because I also feel like I'm one of the people who can just see through people's bullshit, and we don't have time for people's BS either. And so I love to meet real freaking people who are genuine. And I feel that sometimes it's hard to find, but I'm trying to find those people too. And fear-wise, I kind of want to say right now, I don't believe that I have any fears, but when it does come to this pandemic, definitely a fear that I couldn't control is God forbid, getting sick or not being healthy, or not spending enough time or talking to people that I really do love and that deserve that one-on-one time, I would say. But I think fear-wise, I've really worked hard, and I do every day on eliminating any fearful-based thoughts. So I'm going to go with having none right now. And I feel confident and good about that, because
that's great.
It's work. And maybe one day a fear will come along, but I just know, one of my friends told me that fear stands for false events appearing real. And so if we diminish fear, which in reality is an emotion about something that has not happened yet in the future, we don't want that fear to manifest into reality. Therefore, try to take that fear, befriend it, become BFFs with it, and move forward with it, and tell fear that you're the boss and you're in control of your life and it's got nothing on you. And once you do that and you try to realize you can do anything, you're going to know whether you can do it or not. And nine times out of 10, you're going to be able to overcome fear and be like, fear ain't shit, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I skydived one time. I love it. I want to keep doing it and all.
Oh, I want to so badly. How was it? Epic?
It's both. It's a crazy feel and then a calm sensation. Cause I invited a friend of mine. It was her birthday, and so me, her sister, and her, and that was my birthday gift to her. And,
Beautiful.
And we went, and it's so funny. She got nervous because obviously they got to show you the video of and you got to sign a waiver and all that. Clearly, right? They got to protect themselves and all.
Yeah.
And now she's getting nervous. And then they asked us how high we want to go up. So me and the sister's like, all the way up. And she's like, whoa, let's go lower. I said, listen, her name is Liz. I said, Liz, whether we go 300 feet to 600 feet, if something happens, we're dying. So
Exactly.
might as well go all the way to the top, right? And then and then the people that they strap you into, the workers, they smelled her fear. So she would ask, how long have you been doing this? He would look at the time, 3 o'clock. About 2 hours is my first day. She'd get all nervous. What? I'm like, yo, they are messing with you.
Exactly. When her life is at stake.
Yeah. So the whole point is when I went up there, like, I would sit there and tell you, listen, I was a little nervous here, I was a little nervous there, but honest to God, I wasn't. Because my thing was, I'm a very firm believer in God, and I'm a very firm believer on what's going to happen is going to happen. I don't know when I'm going to die. I don't know if it's right here or it's me in a car driving or in my sleep or whatever. So it's like, why not live life? So when I jumped out, it was a fast 60-second fall where there's just chaos, and then we were filming it. So I said, even if I'm scared, I'm not gonna show my fear on camera. I'm like blah. But it was
Exactly.
dropping. It was just so chaotic. I told him do flips, and he's doing all types of things. And then when we opened the parachute, it was like a calm. You talking about meditation? That was like meditating. It was just a small. It was down in Homestead, and he's there showing me. Oh look, there goes South Beach. There goes downtown. It looked like a portrait of Miami,
Wow.
and it was just a calm sensation going all the way down and all.
It felt like freedom.
Yeah. And I tell people if they ever thought about doing it, do it. I mean, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But if you ever had a single thought, I said do it because you would never regret it. Every person who landed had a huge smile on their face and they were happy and all. So that's something I just want to go to different cities and jump from there. Like I want to go to Colorado and do it there and see the mountains and all. It's a beautiful portrait and all.
Well, what's great about your story is that it just shows even somebody who's afraid of that, the initial jump, the initial step one into fear of what you're doing, of jumping out of that airplane for a second, you could retract and say, wait, I'm not doing it. That's just like an idea that you can compare to an airplane of being like, okay, this is something that I really want to do. I'm finally here. I showed up. Now I actually have to do it. Now I have to make the jump. And that's the difference between the people who stay inside that plane or go after their dreams. And it just shows, you said that 60-second drop is like, oh shit, what's happening? Uncertainty, right? You're not sure if that parachute's gonna open, but then it does. And then what did you feel? Calmness, freedom, bliss, appreciation, gratitude for life. That, my friend, is on the other side of fear in real time. And that's why anything that anybody's afraid of, they'll know. Go, because that's what's waiting for you.
And my friend Liz, and she went through with it, and you asked her to this day, like, how did you like? She said, I loved it.
Exactly.
She said she won't do it again, but she said she loved the moment. It was like it was worth the experience and all like that. So at least she conquered that fear and all. But now that you had me incorporate the fear question in there, there's a segment that I always do. It's called, what are you blessed? Why are you blessed, I should say. So it comes to the question of, what something in your life that you feel blessed about right now.
Oh my God. I every single morning from the moment I open my eyes and when I go to sleep at night, I go over everything that I'm so blessed and thankful for. So this list may be long, but I'll try to keep it short. Um, oh, so thankful for my health. I'm thankful for having a great support system of course, friends and family. I'm thankful for this vessel that I call my physical body that is strong and patient and moving and keeps me going and living and breathing this life. And I'm thankful for things like my mind and my brain and energy throughout the day, to be able to thankfully wake up and to think and to put two and two together to make ideas happen mentally. I'm grateful for, the apartment that thankfully I'm financially independent to even afford, and a bed and a roof over my head, to be able to go to a grocery store and be able to buy all, the groceries that I need or products that I need, and not have to worry. Things like that, are what I'm mostly grateful for. I'm, of course, grateful for, that it's like sunny outside and the weather, of course, but to me, blessings come in the form of gratitude, in terms of what helps us carry on in life and how we present ourselves to others, but how we stay true to who we are. And I'm just grateful really for every good and bad, I don't even want to say bad, but let's say challenging experience in my life, whether it was, even God forbid getting in a car accident, or meeting someone by accident, or a stranger, or being waiting behind someone in a grocery store that said something to the cashier that was a quote that may have stuck with me for 10 years later. I think that knowing that there is more to life than just us. I like to always speak and think from my soul more than any type of ego, because I believe, of course, we all have an ego, but we can't let it take over. It's something that we need to nourish with positivity, kindness, and reality, of course, and dreams. But I'm just blessed to be alive and healthy, and to be a good person, and to be able to help motivate, hopefully, and inspire other people to just be themselves and to find what they love in life, and to not be afraid to go for it, and to know that everything will be okay as long as we have the mindset to, because your mind is the most powerful tool in your entire body from head to toe, and it lays out the foundation for everything that we want in life, for things that we're actually going to go for or stem away from. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you before was how you said your faith in God, and just having faith and trust in God, in the universe, in something that, good karma and good deeds that are meant to be true, not just doing it because you believe good karma will come back, but actually doing something because it fulfills you. That I do believe that we get into situations that sometimes might not be healthy for us. And if we have the thought of rejection is God's form of protection, I want people to believe that sometimes things don't work out because you're being protected, guided, and redirected towards something better that is meant for you. And to have that faith and trust that something didn't work out or a plan fell apart, it's because you have to believe that something greater is waiting for you, and it's going to push you to be stronger to get there. So even just to know that, to have lived through that, and to hopefully help others see that, is what I'm most blessed about.
Well, I definitely agree with the last statement because it's also, you know, everything happens for a reason. And, if you think it's not correct, you sometimes you just have to close your eyes, shut your mouth, and find the reason why. Why
I
you
love
didn't
that.
get that the guy or the girlfriend, or why you didn't get the job. There's a reason behind it. That's God talking to you, saying, "Listen, there is just if you don't know the answer now, I guarantee you 5 or 6 years down the line, you're gonna find the answer." Like the song that I wrote, and the third verse says, "I never really got the girl I really want. Thank God that I didn't get the girl that I really want." And that statement is just
It's right.
basically saying that I see why, because I'm supposed to be doing this. If I got her, especially at the age that I was when I wasn't ready, because I didn't find myself, it would have been all about her, and I would have never, money would have never grown, my success would have never grown, because I would have been all about her, and I would have lost myself. Nothing wrong with the girl, nothing like that, but for myself, I wasn't ready for a relationship, wasn't ready for that type of relationship and all like that. So it wasn't like a negative, it wasn't a diss to the girl, it was just saying that you know, there's always more. You just have to find out. Just be quiet real quick, and I guarantee the answers will come to you. You know.
Yep. And that it wasn't meant for you, and it may not be what you, she may have been what you wanted, but it wasn't what you needed.
Yeah.
And you probably needed yourself more during that time. And the right person will come to you when that happens, just like J-Lo and A-Rod, if we want to talk about it, and they're 50 and they're together
Yeah.
now, you know,
Yeah.
like, and had kids from other people. And who knows in the past when, I always think about this, but when they crossed paths and maybe it wasn't the right time for them, but it's the right time now. And again, because it's not our time.
Yeah. I definitely
Our
agree.
time.
I want to get another story from you.
What do you
And,
want to know?
and we're gonna get back into the book. Let's get into the chapter called "The Last Kiss."
The Last Kiss. No, I do remember it. That was very sad. I feel like it was yesterday. But what was so beautiful, I felt, about that chapter was it's really hard for some people to be open and vulnerable
Yeah.
and say, this is what's in my second book, that with some relationships, there are times where there's things that we wish we would have said that maybe we were too fearful or afraid of at the time. And I feel that with The Last Kiss, even that whole journey of romance helped me to become, again, you know, my most true self, in terms of maybe being afraid to say certain things because I didn't know how it would be accepted by the other party, the other guy. And I really did feel that he saw me for me, and he saw my potential as a person, and it helped me see myself in a beautiful type of love, and to feel that, you know, just because time, physical time, was ending and it felt like a death, which most people have probably felt often, but the connection between him and I was really only over a couple, you know, those like 2 weeks while I was on that trip. And it's crazy because it felt like you're with this person for 24 hours a day for like 10 days, and it feels longer because you're with them for so many hours that you can't believe that you also just met. And for someone to become so important to you in such a short span of time, and spending that time to really get to know each other under all the bullshit that happened at the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
And even back then, like, love to me, I took very seriously, and sharing my body and my mind, and of course my soul, with somebody else was just something that I wouldn't do for a hookup or something overnight or whatever. And he just really opened up my consciousness to believe in a true love that felt like it was in movies. And I was able to really let him know how I felt. And it was probably, till this day, one of the greatest also like heartbreaks of my life, because I could have left it. I almost did. I could have left everything to go move over there and just try it to see if it would have worked or not. But I believe it happened as it should. And I actually, a couple of years ago, went back to Israel, and I ended up meeting with him again, just even for a conversation. And what's crazy is I was definitely a different person then than I am now. I'm definitely more brave now. But when I did see him again, I was so nervous, and I even played it like way too cool, like a friend or a bro even. I don't even know why I did that, because I was so nervous.
Hey, guys don't like when you say, "Hey, buddy," "Hey, friend." We hate the friend
Yeah,
word.
I was like, yo, like, how's life? And you're just like, Britt, you can't talk like that. Like, you love this man, you know? And it's funny because I was supposed to be in Israel right now, actually. My friend was getting married, and obviously that got canceled. And he was going to meet with me again, and he hasn't read the book, and I was going to give him a copy. And yeah, I believe that there's beginnings and endings for a reason, and you just really have to cherish every present moment in between. And even now, with certain relationships that I do get into, more and more I become more vocal and vulnerable and let my guard down, but I'm also more honest. And I finally know for the first time what I want, not just in a man, but that I want a relationship. And I feel that over the past 10 years of my life with relationships, I would go after, or they would fall into my lap, emotionally unavailable men. And it's because I didn't realize that I was emotionally unavailable. For my main job and just consulting as a businesswoman, I was constantly traveling every week or every other week for 8 years of my life until quarantine. So for these past couple months, this is the longest that I've even lived in Miami,
Oh,
to
tell
a
me about it.
point where I realized that a committed relationship maybe wasn't for me. Just having someone there that was still like a companion and having that intimacy is what worked for me. And I realized within every relationship, I was pretty much settling because I knew I didn't want them as my future, but I didn't ever see it as wasting time. I saw it as that's how I wanted to spend my time. So I never look at a relationship as a lost experience or a waste. I look at it as a growth period because it opened my eyes more. Like 2020 still here. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm still looking and seeing clearly and I'm still down to experience more, but I realized like I have a lot going on in my life. Thank God, still blessed. And the next person who I do bring into my life, damn, he gonna know, because at this point now I know I have no time to waste and I'm done with all of the time that I've spent in relationships, and I felt like I've gotten everything that I've wanted out of it, or every experience, to a point where I'm just living life. And I want this year of, being 29, when I pray every morning or talk to the universe, I'm like, you know what? Surprise me. I don't want to be in control anymore. I want to take my hands off the steering wheel, and I want to see what's going to fall in my lap like it has every other time. And I'm going to try it out, and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to ride with it, but I'm going to still be me, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to crush fear. And whatever happens, again, that starts or that finishes, that's the first place or last place. It's meant to be as it's supposed to. And we just have to have that faith and trust in everything and be grateful overall for everything that we have and what comes our way.
Well, since you with your past relationships, you took a little good in it, and then you seen a lot of bad in it, and now you know what you don't want and a little bit of what you
For
do
sure.
want. So, what is it that in the future? What are you looking for when it comes to relationships?
There's such a long list, but again, I'll make it short. What I'm looking for, of course, is, full equal commitment and partnership on both ends. And I can, I think that confidence is a word that sometimes has a negative connotation to it, like the word selfish, which I should have started off with. The reason why it's called 25 and selfish is also
Yeah.
because there's a negative connotation with the word selfish,
Before you
right?
before you could, I just want before I don't forget. I had a conversation with my nephew, and we said I told him the same thing. I said society makes you feel that by you being proud of yourself, you're conceited, you're arrogant, you're this and that. It's like, dude, I'm proud that I'm able to accomplish this thing, and society
Hell
makes.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't want to cut you off, but I just didn't want to
No,
forget
of
that.
course.
Go ahead.
Listen, yeah. And this is my whole thing about society, is the reason why it's 25 is also because our generation told us that there's this quarter life crisis. No, it doesn't exist. You just woke up one day, you're unhappy, you're not okay with where you are, you need to make a change, and the only person who's going to do that is you, period. And so that when we talk about being selfish, not sharing your bowl of cereal or a candy bar, it's being selfish, which means sometimes I have put so many people before me to where I've been blinded and I've wasted time being unhappy to be in a job for other people, or to be in a relationship for the other person because they needed me more than I needed or wanted to be with them. And I didn't think about, the way that blessings and opportunities come to you is when you're at your highest vibration, which means your vibe, right? Which means you're at your best self, you're your happiest self. And when you are, that's when you attract every blessing. When you aren't happy and you're operating from a low vibe, right? That means that the door is completely closed. It's locked. Nothing is coming in. So once you open that door yourself and you're like, let me make a change. I'm unhappy in this relationship. I'm unhappy being married to this person, but I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to leave. Well, guess what? People do it all the time. That person's not meant for you. Get out. What are you doing? It's holding you back from your life. And so I realized I'm unhappy in my job. Like that relationship didn't work out for me. I wasn't happy in Miami, so I moved somewhere else for a little bit. And everything was scary. It's not easy, but it's also a mindset. And you don't want to keep your mind in a cage or in prison, your mind and your beliefs just because you're scared. Like, crush through that. Every single person who's made something of themselves was because they literally walked through that fear, they took that risk, and they went for it. I mean, when you go back to thinking about Steve Jobs, like, yes, he made the Apple computer. Apple fired him, the board of directors. He created it. Could you imagine someone saying to you, you're freaking out? Then he tried to do something on his own, and that was a failure, and Apple ended up rehiring him. And then what happened? Unfortunately, he got sick. and he had to leave
Well,
this physical earth.
well, you're remembering why they rehired him because they couldn't make it work without him. They failed
Right.
without him, and they needed him to come back to create. And that's when the whole iPod and the slimmer laptops and all these new creation came through him. So
Exactly. And you know what? And he needed that time
yeah,
away from Apple to realize this is what needs to be created, you know? And so with being selfish, it just means you're putting yourself first for the sake of your own happiness. And when you're happy, it's a ripple effect. Everybody else benefits from it, you know? And so going back to what I even would want in a relationship, like I just know, oh, so with the word confidence, I feel like the word confident also has a negative connotation with just what you said about it's not leading from ego. It's literally you're allowed to work hard and be proud of yourself and you know your journey and the late nights and the early mornings or the all-nighters and the work, blood, sweat, tears, challenges, everything that was put into it. You're allowed to be freaking proud of yourself.
yeah.
And you're allowed to feel your self-worth of being high to who you are and your confidence, you know? And I realize like I know who I am more than ever. And I know where I'm going and I know what I want out of life. And I've met a lot of men or boys, whatever, in my past who weren't aligned with those same beliefs or didn't know who they were. And I was sitting there like saving them, helping them find themselves or helping redirect them. And I'm like, you know what? This is tiring. I want someone who's found, who's a man, who like, I don't have to take care of you. I take care of you because I want to, because I love you. Like, and I want you to be able to take care of me. And that doesn't mean financial. That means like, take care of my heart. Like I'm giving you all my love. I don't want to be empty. I want to receive it too. And I think that there's so many games and so many men who just have like the wrong type of pride. But in reality, all women, well, not all women, but hopefully the authentic ones, they just want someone who's real, who's them, who can show them for who they are and still be a man and help me feel supported. Because even if I feel that I don't need support, man, would I love support? Of course I would, you know?
Yeah, I mean, who
And
wouldn't? I mean,
and someone who's okay with having like a boss bitch on their arm. Like, I'm sorry, you know, I've been with men who were also intimidated by a woman's success, and I've never had issues
even
with
in
gender
this
roles
day
in
and
the
age,
past.
even in this day and age, you still going?
Yeah. Yes. It's crazy. And you know what it comes down to? Them being insecure. And
Yeah,
it's crazy to me because not crazy, but some men, it's by nature, feel like they have to be the provider. And I understand that. And so when they maybe feel that they're not up to their goal of what providing means, little do they know. And I don't want to say with most women because some women, yes, are out to get men's money and like they can have their own lane that I am in a different country than. But for me, I can get my own, I can buy my own shit, I can support myself, but I can also give myself love, and my self-love tank, yes, is overflowing. So I'd rather add a glass for you to pour in because I'm overflowing as I am. But I would love the paired glass to the one that's already full to be my man. So we're both overflowing together. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so, yeah, it's all just about partnership now. And I used to always think like, I thought the 20s were always made for experiencing things and living life. And you don't need to get married, push out a baby, whatever, at a time limit. I think when things are supposed to happen, they are exactly going to happen at that time. So it's like, sit back, relax, and take a hold of the wheel, but don't hold on too tight because you got to leave room for blessings.
Yeah, I think that you're 110% on the insecurities, and I think that's just not even with a relationship. It's just when the people say, "Oh, this person a hater, this person a hater," I always try to explain to them they're not really necessarily a hater. It's just that while you're maximizing your potential, they're not, and you're showing them that it can be done. When it comes to a man who's insecure about their women who's doing their thing, I mean, step your game up. Stop.
Exactly.
Stop. If you and in a sense, like if you don't want her to be the top earner, then go earn. At the end of the day, I mean, you shouldn't fight your girl on who's making the most money, but if she or he, whoever in the relationship, has to go out and be the person they have to be, because again, confidence is one of the keys, and then you have to challenge yourself, and then in relation. Well, I mean, I guess I'm maybe speaking about me. I'm probably the 1% or something like that. But it's like
Right.
my relationship thing is like, I don't know if I have a long list. It's just two things: keep it real and be ambitious on whatever it is you do. If you want to be a housewife, be ambitious of being a housewife. If you want to
Yeah.
become the president of the United States, be ambitious. It's like something Lil Wayne said: be good or be good at it.
That's
It's
right.
whatever you choose in life, go hard and go hard at it and like that. So I completely agree with you on that. And I always wonder, is it Miami? I don't know if it's the city, because I feel like I gotta get out of here, because it's. I mean, I think I reached to the ceiling over here, and it's just the relationship. And even with me going after the women and trying to find that right one, and at the same time, even surrounding with my boys and shit like that, I'm like, come on, man, step your game up. It's like when I sit down and look around people, everyone's comfortable, and I think it's because I don't want to knock Miami. I love Miami, but I'm from New York, and we have that hustle spirit. It's like you get up and you grind. It's cold outside, so you got to shuffle that snow. You got to walk in, and you got to walk in the cold, and everything. Every day is like tomorrow's not promised and all like that. And I always live like I can die today, not I can die tomorrow. I can die today. So live life and enjoy every moment. And again, you have to know who you are to know what you're looking for and all like that. And you can't expect I always say you can't go in a relationship expecting that person to change. Only how they can change, it's if you want to help them get better,
Right.
in life. If you're a lawyer, your job is to support them or to being. They want to go for partner. Your job is to help them motivate to step that game up. But you can't expect them to be different when you've been with them for 10 years. You want them to be different as to grow in life, but you can't expect them to be different because that's who you liked in the beginning.
That's right. I think I don't even know if it's Miami. I just think whatever we want, again, what we put out is what we attract. So we just need to be clear. Like,
Exactly.
again,
You're right.
I thought, I was like, all right, let me like accept these types of relationships or situationships. But in reality, I didn't realize that I wasn't clear on what I even wanted because I was so busy.
Yeah.
So that's why when you said to be still, like that moment of stillness is when you find your answers, when you ask yourself and close your eyes. That's exactly it. Like, I finally realized for the first time in my 29 years, oh, I want to be in a relationship. And then I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to be really busy. But I think that's still, no, not I think. I know that's still, I guess, what I want. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey,
we
listen.
still have to be clear.
Listen.
And I think, yeah.
No, go on. Let me cut you off. But at the end of the day, being busy and having a relationship can work. I mean, look at everyone.
Totally.
Look at all these successful people. They're making it work. You have Jay-Z and Beyonce, two crazy busy people. I don't know how they make it work. I don't know when they have time to see each other, but
A
somehow,
team of people.
yeah, somehow they make it work. So it's possible.
It is.
I interviewed a guy who, that was crazy. He was in a long-term relationship. I don't know if it was for 20 years, and like I doubt it was 20 years, but it was a long distance relationship, and like now he's married to her for 2 years. They've been together for 22 years. They've been married for 2 years, and they had a long distance relationship. I don't know exactly how long the long distance relationship is, but he found a way, she found a way to make it work. I don't know if they broke up and get back together, whatever the story is, but they still found their way back. And I try to explain to people that we also got to remember, this is something you said earlier. It's you have to create your rules. You have to know the person you're with. The person has to know who you're with, and you have to create your own rules. Don't let society tell you what a relationship is supposed to be. You have to know what you're comfortable with now, because guess what? There are long distance relationships. In reality, there are open relationships. There are swingers.
Exactly.
There are people who wants to. You're with me, I'm with you. You have to know your rules. You have to know what you're comfortable with and what that person's comfortable with, and ride into the sunset with that. Now, you can't be comfortable with that relationship because that person is, and you just want to be with that person because it's not going to work. Because you're just there just to ride that person's wave, and at the end of the day, you're going to drive yourself nuts. But moving forward, because I'm going to wrap it up soon. I know you got things to do, and it's got like 2 or 3 more questions I want to ask you. One of them is, if you can have dinner with anyone and pick their brain, who would it be?
Ooh, dinner with anyone and pick their brain.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be cliche, but I'm going to say
You could be whatever
Oprah.
you want to be.
Definitely Oprah. Because I think she is such a brilliant woman. She has everything figured out in terms of being consciously aware of not only, it's not even from a professional standpoint or philanthropic in the way that she helps build communities in other countries and schools for girls. And of course, her major success in movies, books, television, et cetera, we know who she is, but her podcast is a real staple in my life in terms of spiritual awakening and what I believe is the greater purpose and secrets to life through consciousness and mental mindful practice. And I would love to have the longest dinner of life with her or a nice 24 hours, just to pick her brain of, I want to know her journey mentally through the beginning of her spiritual journey until where she is now, because people aren't awakened to it at all. And she is on such a higher plane of consciousness. And she meets with so many thought leaders. I feel that that conversation would change my life forever, because she is filled with so much knowledge and value aside from what she's accomplished, but her mind alone is something I would want to tap into for sure.
All right. Well, mine would be this. I don't know if you heard of her. She's an author. Brittany Berger. You ever heard of her? So I accomplished my goal, right? Check that out.
That's amazing. I appreciate that. I'm honored.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Oh, what's next? I have my hands in a lot of work projects, but I hope to finish my book soon. I know it's not ready to be done, which is why it's not finished. There's definitely more stories to write. It is centered around romance completely. And
this is a fiction?
Second, nonfiction. It's still based on my life.
Okay.
And second, for years, I've actually wanted to start a podcast and I haven't done it. And I'm hoping that I make the time to do it, because I would love, I also want to read excerpts from my book book 2 that I know will help people, even if it's for a quick 30 to 45 minutes. And I want it to be like unfiltered, unedited, press play, then stop and just post it. And I think because that's all I have time for now. And it's something I've been wanting to do for probably maybe 3 years, and I haven't done it, and I actually can't believe it that I've been holding it off. So maybe this will hold me accountable, and I feel like that's what's next, and a lot of inner peace mentally, hopefully.
Look up an app called Anchor.
I have it,
and
I haven't used it yet. Yeah. That's my goal.
I had it, and then since I've been doing, this is probably the 45th podcast episode I have, and then I started. Thank you, and I started looking into it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I could be making money off this thing, and also this episode here, we usually put it on YouTube and on my websites, to keep KDPG Radio and DJ47.net. So now it's going to be on those two, plus the YouTube channel. And
excellent.
And then with the Anchor, allows me to put it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a bunch of things. So it's going to be streaming everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
So that was just something, but you already know about that. That's great and all.
Yes.
Do you have a title for the book?
I do. Right now, it's called Self-ish Situationships.
All right.
And they're basically relationships that I call situationships because I felt that they were situations in my life. I didn't feel that they were worthy of the label relationship, but I find that I get myself into many situationships that feel like a relationship, but I wouldn't label them as such. And they were all they were different, unique to themselves, and they all had different outcomes and lessons in each one that I know will help men and women for sure.
Yeah. And do you have, and I know you're writing it, but do you have a goal in mind of when you want to release it? Any date?
No, I actually thought, okay, this is really funny, but I always thought I would end this book, and it's still kind of my goal, again, when we don't rush a purpose or a dream or something. I always thought at the end of the book that I would find like my husband or the person I'm supposed to be with. So whenever that happens, I wanted that to be the last chapter of my book, and that's when I would be ready to release it. And I just feel like my journey is still continuing. So it's going to be a sequence of short love stories of selfish situationships until I find the right one.
Well, here, I got a little idea for you, right? Create the book, have the final chapter, but don't finish the final chapter. Like,
so it'll be for book 3.
Exactly. Lead him
Exactly,
wanting for
I know.
more. And then
Same
he
page.
and then he came, like I'm talking about like chapter 15. And then he came. That's all that chapter has. Done.
You're reading my mind. So that's how I wanted to end it, was be like, and I found him, and book 3 was going to be the entire relationship of how I finally.
How you met the person and the beginning, middle, and end. There you go. Yeah,
I love it. Same page. We're riding the same wave. I love it.
Yes, you gotta make them want more and all.
Yeah.
So whenever you decide to finish the book and everything, please let everyone who's listening know where we can find you.
Yes. So I have a website, which is IamBrittanyBerger.com. And my Instagram is Berger_Queen. So that's BERGER_QUEEN. And you can also find my book through my Instagram link or on my website. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBook, ebook, Kindle, Nook, pretty much everywhere. If you're in Miami, go to your local books and bookstore as well. Give them a little shout out for small businesses. They have my book autographed as well. And yeah, that's where you can find me. Hit me up. And if you do listen to the podcast, tag me as well, because we want everybody listening, tuning in, asking questions. And I always answer everyone. So eventually, definitely message me for sure. These are my favorite things. And thank you for even having me on, because I love having conversations. I would even do this again. And
Ladies and gentlemen,
I just think
you heard it first. She said she'll do it again. I'm just saying, this is being recorded on audio and video.
100%.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, also get the book. I'm reading it. I'm almost done with the book, and I'm enjoying every little last minute of it. You know, her little roller coaster ride with love. You know, and you know, she has a lot of knowledge that she brings into the book, and it's a good read if you're looking for something to read. So it is called 25 and Self-ish by Brittany Berger. And again, it was an honor for you to come on the show, and I'm just listening. I can't wait to go back, just touch it up and put it up and just listen to the interview again. You taught me some knowledge, you know, like that. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Today is Wednesday, so we definitely hit them with some wisdom, I like to say. And thank you for having me. And I'm glad that our worlds collided, because this was meant to be. I believe it.
No doubt, man. Pleasure. And I hope to see and hear from you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. God bless.
All righty.
What's up, world? It's your boy DJ47. Thanks for tuning in to our YouTube page. If you like what you see, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to us as we hit you with new videos every week. 1.